All right. So, good evening once again, everyone. Thank you for joining in today's program. Apologies for yesterday's program not holding. We had some issues with the speaker. Speaker had a lot going on. All right. So, today is day 24 of the Bootcamp series, right? And today marks the last day of the week which the focus was on pathways and professional growth. So this week was all about helping you figure out where you want to go, what the available avenues are from when you learn machine learning or AI. So today's session is on grad school and scholarships, and our speaker here will be taking us through that. So we've talked about industry internships. We've talked about that when we invited if you guys remember, to come talk about the different things you can do with AI, right? So today we are focusing on grad school and scholarships. How do you how do you look out for them? What do you need to prepare for? What are they themselves? So we have our speaker on the call here, Mr. Bakari Okoyemi. So Mr. Bakari Okoyemi, he has spoken some days back and is one very good he's a very good machine learning engineer and AI engineer. He is also a researcher, and research is one thing most schools look for in application. So Mr. Bakari will be taking us through that today. So if you guys have questions, you can always drop them in the chat box. So Mr. Bakari, are you there?
Yes, I'm
Okay, so over to you.
okay. My screen now. Just confirm. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. It's nice to back here among you guys and to sense you all about getting grad school and other scholarship opportunities, global scholarship opportunities. So, I would expose you guys to some of the opportunities that are out there, how to get them, and how to position yourself in the best way possible. Of course, we can't really cover everything in this one session. Hopefully, the information you will get here will help you to make actions later that would help you get some of these scholarships. So, I'm going to walk you through what grad school is, how to apply, the opportunities for your skill, AI and technology, opportunities in US and Canada, and how to get. So, graduate school basically is any education getting after your bachelor's degree. So, it can be a master's degree, doctorate degree, or a professional program. So, master's degrees are usually between 1 to 2, depending on the university and the country. Usually in countries like US, Canada, master's degrees are usually then, but in UK, master's degrees are usually 1 year. So also, it can be 2 years depending on whether the degree program of an internship after your first year of study. It can also be 2 years if you are focused on research for your masters, because you can only do a masters where you are not focusing on research. They will teach you everything you need to know, and you will probably, you will not write it, but you will write something, a dissertation. Yeah, what they call it. You write a dissertation at the end of that. So those are postgraduate thought masters. I think I know they are available in the UK, but I don't know anywhere else where they are available. So you also have A's, which are like professional postgraduate degrees. Um, and as for doctorate degrees are usually between 3 to 6, depending on the university. In UK, it's usually 3 years, but in US, it's usually 4 years, because of like, because you in United States you can get and apply directly to a PhD degree with your bachelor's. So that their PhD is usually 4 5 years, because you'd most likely be combining your master and PhD at a go. So now, when should you get a master? When should you pursue a master's degree? When should you doctorate degree? When should you pursue professional program? So master's degree, you would most likely pursue a master's degree if you just know more about a particular subject, or if you change specialization. Like you had your bachelor of mechanical engineering, but you're interested in engineering, you can get a master's degree first. You can get a master's degree in electrical engineering because you want to change your specialization. Uh, Also, you can also get a master's degree because you simply you want to avoid unemployment. So sometimes people can get of the job market you get. So instead of a master's degree going to search for job, some people get a master's degree because it's kind of their chances, because they would have like uh, they would be like more respected, like their qualifications are more respected with the master. When should you get a doctorate degree? To get a doctorate degree if you are very passionate about research, and if you are very sure about what you want to do, like what you want to specialize on, what you want to study, what you want to like go deep in. A PhD is usually very narrow but very deep. So you are very sure about your research focus, like and really ask yourself whether you are commit the next 5 6 of your life to studying this one thing. So you need to like have incredible passion for research residence to like decide to get a P. When do people get a professional degree? So professional arms are for people who are already working, people who are in the industry. For example, doctors who are practicing, or lawyers who are already working, or people who are in management, and they just want like advanced degree to like to all of their experiences and qualifications, so you can get a professional degree in that sense. So I've talked a bit about why pursue grad school. So pursue it to boost their career. Some because to JAPA for global mobility, like have you what living in another country looks like or sounds like. Some increase their earnings. There are some people that are already working with their degree, but they want to apply for a promotion. They want to like apply. They want to convince their workplace that I'm due for a salary boost or something, so they get an degree to back up their claim. Some just get access to cutting edge and top companies. There are some computers you will never get to if you do not like if you are not studying in a top class university, and if you're not studying an advanced degree. So because for example, like quantum computers and stuff, find them in top class research facilities. And so to get access to those kind of computers, to get access to those kind of facilities, people pursue advanced degrees. So what's the application process like? Now, the first to pursuing your grad school or to getting graduate school opportunities is to do your own research to find which programs are aligned with schools, one, and also which programs are aligned with your qualifications. So you can't just apply to programs because you have passed them. You also have to look at, I might qualified to for this program. Do I bring skills program that the professors in that program will probably need? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself and not be too sentimental about your uh, about your grad school applications. Sometimes if it gets very very sentimental and you just have programs that you have like passion in or something like that, you might not get very favorable outcomes. So you need to like be strategic about it. Also, some of these charge application fees and stuff like that. So, and you don't have money to waste. So you need to look at, as much as you are looking at, okay, which program you're interested in, you should also look at which programs have chances of accepting you. There are some programs, the acceptance rate is like 2%. That means if 100 people apply, they'll pick only two. Or if 1,000 people apply, they'll pick only 20. So the odds are very small. So you need to look at, in as much as you have passion for those programs, you also need to look at what are my chances of getting accepted. So in order to plan yourself and so it is while you are doing your research, like when you are researching for grad school. When I was researching for grad school, I checked nothing less than 100 universities all over the world. So you need to be able to like, if you plan to apply, let's say next August, as early as January, February, you should have checked out at least like 100 schools, and out of those 100 schools, you should have decided that, oh, probably I'm going to apply to, let's say, 10 or 20 of these schools. You should always apply to as many schools as possible. 20 is like you are scratching the surface. So your work is, if you want to, it is kind of like a numbers game. Okay, so if you want to put yourself or position yourself in a situation, in a position to grab most of these opportunities, you need to like put in the work, and you need to like spread your net so that at least one or two programs will offer you admission. The next thing, after you have decided which programs you want to apply to, the next thing is to prepare your documents. So while you are researching, you must have noted the entry requirements of the programs. um what do they want, like do they prefer you to like have an idea? There are some programs they want you to have an idea of the research you want to do. They want you to have an idea of which lab you want to, which professor you want to work with. And there are some they don't really need that from you. So you need to like get, some programs require GRE, some do not. Some programs require you to write test of English, some do not. So these are all things that you need to look at. So most programs will require you to have a CV, and you need to have like an academic CV. So an academic CV is different from your professional CV. Your professional CV that you use to apply for work can be 1-2 pages at most. Your academic CV is usually longer and lengthier. The last application cycle, my academic CV was about 6 pages. So though other schools might give you a guideline. So for example, some schools will say they want maximum of 4 pages, some will say maximum of 3 pages, some will say maximum of 5 pages, some will not give you any length. So you should like make sure to put in as many information about you, relevant information though. Don't put like irrelevant information, it will work against you. Don't unnecessarily make your CV bulky. If you have done stuff that are relevant, then put it there. But don't say because you want to limit the number of pages, then things that you have done that are relevant, you decide to remove them because you want to reduce the number of pages. That might work against you. So because you won't know what will set you apart from another candidate. Most of these programs are very competitive, especially if you are looking for a fully funded program. So they are always very competitive. So You want to put in as many things as possible that are relevant to the program you have done, as many experiences, as many research projects, as many publications, and all. So also, you need to start looking at your recommendation letters now. Like, let's say you want to apply this coming cycle. So the next cycle is the fall cycle would be around between September to December of this year. So by now you should have been messaging your professors, that means your lecturers in school, that would most likely recommend you, and be telling them that, oh, I'm going to be applying for masters or PhD by September or by August, and I'll be needing recommendation letter from you, sir. So you will be preparing their mind so that when you now apply as at that time, they will not be shocked that uh why are you like messaging them for recommendation. And lecturers they can be very, very busy, so you need to inform them as early as possible. If your program deadline is, let's say, November 1, you should tell your lecturer that the program is October 1, and you should have informed them from as early as, let's say, August, or from as early as, let's say, like May-June or something, so that they would have enough time to do the recommendation. And you will not, because there are sometimes you will have paid the application fee, you have applied, you have submitted your application, and then your lecturer will not send the recommendation. What we do, you have lost that opportunity. So recommendation letters are very, very important. In fact, they are one of the most important things about your grad school application. So you don't want to joke with them. And also make sure that you are asking professors that like you, professors that you have previously worked with, like lecturers that you have previously worked with, lecturers that like you, lecturers that you have a working relationship with. Those are the kind of people that you should trust with your recommendation letters. So also then after that, you apply, you submit your application before the deadline. Some programs will require an interview for you. Most likely, if you apply to a university program, most of them would usually want to interview you. I got a few interviews in the last cycle, so most of these programs would want to interview you. Get, but then there's a lot of other programs that they will not call you for interview. But if your qualifications are very, very high, they might not feel the need to call you for an interview. So then hopefully you get an offer, and then you accept the offer. So yeah, that's a summary of the application process. So it can be very, very daunting, it can be very, very tiring, especially the waiting period between after you have submitted your application and when you will hear back from them. For example, if you submit your application, let's say November last year, some programs will not reach out to you until this time this year. So April, May, and look at that length of time, and you are like, you have other plans. You are thinking, oh, should I go and do this? Should I go and do this job? Should I go and, like, it can affect a lot of things. So you really, really need like a lot of support from the people around you so that you do not lose your mind while you are in this process. So there are certain application components that would usually be in a lot of your grad school applications or other global opportunities. So most scholarship opportunities or most grad school opportunities will require you to write a statement of purpose. What is a statement of purpose? A statement of purpose is just a document that, or it is an essay where you talk about your interests and your motivations for applying to that program. So you would usually need to answer a lot of whys, like why this program? Why should they accept you? Why should they give you funding? Why this school? Why this professor? Why this lab? Why this country? So you would need to answer a lot of whys, and your whys have to make sense, because these are like it is the professors that are going to teach you when you get to the school, or the professors in whose lab you are going to be, the professors that are going to supervise your research and every other thing. They are the ones that will be reading your application. So you need to want you need to like make sure that your essay is something that will make sense to them, something that they will like to hear, something that will align with their own interests. Because sometimes you'll be qualified for the program, but you will still get rejected because your goals do not align with the goals of the professors or the program or the available labs that are in that program. So you really need to make sure that your statement of purpose is on point. It is talking about the relevant things that matter to you and that you feel will matter to the professors that you are targeting in that particular program. Now, the next thing is your transcript and your GPA. So this is the aspect of your application that you do not really have control over, because after you have graduated from school, you cannot go and change your 4.2 to 4.3 anymore, or you cannot go and change your second class to first class anymore. So while you are in school, I'm sure most of you are students. While you are in school, you need to make sure that you get your GPA to be as high as possible, as high as you possibly can get it while you're in school, because this is the only opportunity that you will have. So at the very least, make sure that you have a GPA above 4.0 over 5.0 at the very least. But then there is no hard fast rule actually. Anybody, like I said, like anybody can get a fully funded admission into a graduate school program, even with a 2-2. I've seen people with a 2-2 get it. I've seen people with HND get it. I've seen people with 2-1 get it. So um you shouldn't, like, if you are on that like grade band or something, you should not be discouraged at all, because most of these schools, they use what they call evaluation holistic evaluation, meaning that they're not only looking at GP, they are looking at every other aspect of you. They are looking at you as a human being, as a holistic person. So they are not only looking at your GP, or they're not only looking at your school, they're looking at a lot of other things. So, but now that you're in school, to increase your chances, make sure that you get your GPA as high as possible. Now, the next aspect of the next application component is your recommendation letters. I mentioned this before, that recommendation letters are very, very important. It is to say that I have done this. It is another for a person with a PhD, or for a person or for a professor that has previously taught you, or that you have previously worked with, to now write a letter vouching for you, saying that this student is top class student, this student is diligent, because this that I have noticed in him, on how we work together on so, or how they answer questions in class. So the recommendation letter can or mar your application. Like, they take it very, very seriously, and you would most likely need recommend from 2 to 3 professors, depending on the program. Now, another aspect of your application, test scores. Some schools will not require it. In fact, most schools do not require it, but the schools that do, or the schools that make it, they like can be the difference between an acceptance and rejection. For example, let's say you finish class. If you write PRE and you get like very good score, it speaks to the fact that, oh, that stuff that you finished with in your bachelor's degree does really uh does not show your actual abilities. That means that you are actually smarter than that grade. It might be some circumstances that cause you to have the grade in your bachelor's degree. So GRE, this graduate record exam, is an exam that that can show your capabilities outside of classroom. They show your raw aptitude skills, your raw ability, your ability to cope in a graduate environment. So it's like, if you can, I would advise you to write it, especially if you are applying to universities in the US. Most outside US do not even, I don't look at it. Most schools will not look at Most schools in Europe will not look at your grad. for the exam. Most schools in UK do not look at it. Schools in the Middle East, they do. Schools in Caribbean, in UAE, in Kuwait, they love GRE. Schools in America, they love GRE scores. So yeah, so it depends on which programs you have. Like I said, when you have done your research, you know what each program to see, you know what they might like. So yeah. Also, some schools will require you to write a test of English exam. So this test is to verify your ability to speak and communicate in English, because most are English taught programs. So they will not want a situation teaching you something in a language that you do not understand. Want you to write a test of English. Most schools in the US and the UK, they waive this test for Nigerians, meaning if you graduate from a university in Nigeria, they will most likely not require you to write an English proficiency. So GMAT is like GI but for business programs. So if you to apply to, let's say, programs in, let's say, economics or accounting or something, so you would you and you want to showcase your abilities, your aptitude outside of the classroom, and GMAT might be time for you to write. So now there are different scholarships or funding that it's as a active applicant or as an applicant into a GASCO program. So there are the fully funded programs. So fully funded program means that throughout the duration of your studies, the program to fund you. They are going to pay your school fees. They are going to buy your textbooks. They are going to give you whatever you are eating, any water that you're drinking. They are going to pay for it. Your transportation, they are going to pay for it. Some schools will even fund your flight tickets. Some programs will fund your flight tickets. They will fund your visa applications. All you just need to do is pack your bags and enter plane. That's all. So this is what you should be targeting: a fully funded program. And usually they are usually available for people in STEM field like science, technology, engineering, and math. So, and usually they are usually very much available for people that are applying to PhD programs. They are also fully funded master's programs, but in fact, I will tell you that 98% of all PhD programs are fully funded. Nobody will expect you to come and do PhD with your own money. Most schools will fund a PhD program. So yeah. Then there is also partial scholarship. Partial scholarship is that they might say, okay, they are going to pay your school fees for you, but your accommodation, your cost of living and stuff, you are going to cover it. Or they might say they are going to cover your cost of living and stuff, but your school fees and your academic stuff, you are going to cover it. So that's a partial scholarship. There's also assistantships. So most fully funded will come or might come in the form of an assistantship. For example, the program will fund, they will say that they are going to pay your school fees for you. Then instead of giving you like money that okay for your cost of living for everything or for your accommodation and transport and everything, they will not say, okay, we will employ you as a teaching assistant or a research assistant, and we will be paying you salary. So that salary that they will be paying you will cover your living expenses, your transport, your accommodation, your stuff. So they will make sure that the salary is enough to cover all of those things. So those are assistantships. So assistantships are also a form of fully funded scholarships. So if you are offered an assistantship, or if you are offered a research assistantship or a teaching assistantship, it's also a fully funded offer, because they would have usually paid your school fees for you, and then they will now employ you. So you will either be teaching for the school, you'll be teaching as you are running your PhD program or your master's program, you will also be a lecturer in that program where you'll be teaching people that are doing bachelor's degree or something. If you are a research assistant, you'll be working in a particular professor's lab, helping them with research. So the research would also be relevant to your program that you are studying. So that's those are assistantships. Then we also have fellowships. So fellowships are like they are the fully funded with no strings attached. So although some fellowships will come with strings attached, but the strings attached are not financial strings attached. So, for example, let's say Children's Scholarship now. Children's Scholarship will fund everything. They will pay your school fees. They will give you living expense. They'll give you stipend. They'll fund your flight. But the caveat, the string that is attached is that after you are done with the program, you have to come back to your home country at least for like maybe a year or two. So those are the strings attached. Some organizations will say fund everything, we will fund your school, your everything, but after you are done, you have to do a 1 year internship with so company is part of your contract. Those are so your strings attached will not be of, let's say, money or something. It will be like of service. Some will say you work in so country for a period of time. So they, like, there are different things. Some which you have to just, and there are some fellowships that they are not attached. You just have to make sure that with year of study, you are in the top 5% of your classroom. So you have to maintain a high academic record throughout your studies. So they will pay you, they will fund you to read book. That's like those are fair. Now, yeah, so I've explained the Children's Scholarship. So is uh these are like, let me say, scholarships for Nigerian students that are available for Nigerian students that look at. So Children's Scholarship available for people that want to study in the UK. Cover your tuition, your living expenses, your ticket and everything, but you have to like come back to the country. There is also program. It's fully funded. It's from the United States government. Fully funded. They're going to pay everything for you, and you don't have to come back to your country. Actually, they're going to pay your tuition, your living, pay everything for you, and you don't have to come back. Commonwealth, people that come from Commonwealth countries, people that come from countries that were previously colonized United Kingdom. So they are also fully funded scholarships. So Commonwealth scholarships are fully funded, and I don't think you have an obligation to come back. There's also MasterCard scholarship. So Master scholarships is they have MasterCard is a foundation where they have partnership with select universities, top class universities all over the world. They have partnership university with Cambridge, uh, African Development University, with African Leader University, with Arizona State University, University of British Columbia in Canada, has partnership with countries, universities all over the world, and they can fund you to study at any one of the universities. But after you have to do an internship in a particular, let's say, in a African country. So it might not necessarily be to come back to Nigeria to do an internship in any African country. So, and with an organization that is affiliated with Master. So that's the caveat for MasterCard scholar. There is also PTDF scholarships. If you are studying, if you want to study a program that is relevant, that you think that will be relevant to the oil and gas industry, and you're a Nigerian citizen, of course you're a Nigerian, PTDF scholarships, like they are very, very good scholarships. You can get they will give you your school fees, they will fund your flight ticket, they'll pay your living expenses, they'll pay everything for you. And there's an expectation that you will come back, but you are not contract bound to come back to Nigeria, but expect that you will come back. So that's PTDF. There's also NDDC scholarship. If you are the Niger Delta region of Nigeria and you want to like this, like PTDF scholarships is only available if you want to apply for programs in UK, Japan, Malaysia, and France. NDDC scholarship is if you want to apply any country in the world, any country, any graduate program, they will, but you have to be from the Niger Delta region. Yeah. So there are a lot of scholarship opportunities that you can look into, and you can get some of the scholarships. Now, also AI and tech specific graduates. So now AI can open doors for you if you know how to play your cards right. If you were in the last lecture that I handled on this platform, you would remember that I mentioned that whatever you are doing, you can add to it, and from there you can get opportunities. Now, those kind of opportunities can also be come in form of grad school opportunity. A lot of industries now was the application of AI and data science technology in their own space. So most new research frontiers are front in how can AI push boundaries of this field forward. If it is mechanical engineering, how can AI push the boundaries of mechanical engineering forward? If it is agric, how can AI push boundaries of mechanical of agricultural science forward? And a lot of professors are doing research that are funded a lot of organizations. Now, these professors will need assistants, you need graduate students. So if you are somebody applying AI and machine learning your own field, it might be an opportunity for you to apply to grad programs in that field, and you might get a lot of scholarship offers because you have idea of how to like use machine learning your chosen field. So it can be, and from your of machine learning, you can also branch directly into computer science. You might have done aerospace engineering in your bachelor's degree, and then you can master's degree in computer science if you can do a program that fits what you have been doing in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the top is in United States that give fully funded offers. They have competitive universities. We have MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon University, University of Michigan, Georgia Tech. The States has over 4,000 academic universities, and I'm telling you that over 1,000 of these universities are fully funded off for one program or the other, most in STEM. So if you are somebody in STEM, like in the United States, is a bet for you. Although because of the current political climate, I would not really advise you also on getting on or to on like grad school opportunities in the United. But like I'm sure this political climate is temporary, and eventually the sanctions that our country has been placed upon, the temporary ban and all of those things would have been settled by the time you will want to start applying to that. In the United States, in spite of all the politics and everything, still remains the one, the number one school destination for students all over the world. But then, as a Nigerian, you have to tentacles because of the political climate. So I would advise you to look at just for now if you're applying right now. But I'm sure time you will want to apply. Let's say you're in level, so like probably in the next 1 or 2 years, you would be in your final year. You might want to apply, and that's true. You don't have to have graduated before you start applying. Once you're already in your final year, you can start applying. I have friends that got fully funded offer before got their bachelor's degrees. Apply with your transcripts from year one to probably 500 first semester. You can apply with that transcript and get offers. So get your cards right. Now, there are also universities in Canada that have these fully funded offers. But the issue with the Canadian opportunities is that you have to you have to um you have to send cold emails to professors. Now, what are cold emails? Cold emails are just where you have identified a professor in a particular school that you would like to work with. Research program is research interest aligned with you, and you feel like you have done a lot of things that correlate with what he has done. So you feel you are for to be in his research lab. You grab his email from the university website. All professors that are employed in the university their email on the university website. Email from that university website. You send him an email, tell him you are interested in his program and what you have done to make you like what you have done to prove that you are qualified in that particular lab, as that you have read, the papers that you have published, the conferences you have presented and stuff like that. And then you attach this email with a copy of your transcript of your university transcript and relevant information, maybe your degree if you have completed your school, your bachelor, or your you can attach test scores if you have written GRE. You can attach everything to that email. Then you send it. So you ask him like for opportunity to discuss further or an opportunity like you just yourself. And if you are lucky enough, most of the time they will not respond to you. And that's what let me prepare your mind for that. But there's a high chance, especially if like you are emailing a professor that you have done a lot of things aligned with what the professor has been doing in his lab. The likelihood there's a high chance that the professor will respond to you positively. Sometimes they might like you, they might like what you have done, but the professor does not have funding in their lab to be able to sponsor you. But you might hit the jackpot. I have friends that they hit the jackpot and from just an email, they have nothing to do, just an email, they got a funded offer. So you might be like, oh, he's interested in you. Then he will put a date for you, he will interview you, he wants to see you. If when he interviews, he sees that, oh, he's interested in you, in what you have done, and things that you'll be a good addition to his lab, he will encourage you to apply to the school. Once he gives you that apply and that he's willing to employ you in his lab, like 80%, like your admission is 80% sure. Your admission is 80% sure. So yeah, so cold emailing important, especially if you're applying to Canadian school. So yeah, so you should also look at that. And also the advantage in fully funded offers in Canadian schools is that there's a very real pathway to permanent resident and citizenship in Canada. If you get a funded offer today, in the next 5 years, you might become a citizen of Canada. That's how fast it is. When the first 2 years, you are doing your research, you get your master's in 2 years, then you apply for postgraduate permits, and after your postgraduate work permit, to study and you start to work. If you have once you have worked for like 2 3 years, you can apply for your citizenship and you can get it. So yeah, Canada is also a top study destination to look at for. Now, how should you prepare for your application? 18 months out. That's 1 year and 6 months, if I'm correct. 1 year and 6 months out, you should start. See that the preparation has to be top notch. From now on, if you want to apply, let's say by the end of this year or by next year, you should have started the programs that you are interested in from now on, and have a spreadsheet where you are keeping track of each. Now, you build a schools that you want to apply to, identify their deadlines, identify the scholarship deadlines. Because usually for most schools, the application deadlines will not be the same as the scholarship deadline. For example, if the application deadline is September, or if the application deadline is November 1, they might say if you want fully funded offer program, you have to have applied by October 1. Know that the scholarship deadline is earlier than the application deadline. Now, also prepare your GRE or TOEFL if it is required program. Also, reach out to supervisors by cold emailing them. You should start to draft your statement of purpose. Also, by now, to apply, by now you should have gotten your transcript. For Lagos State University, our university system is very seamless. getting your transcripts. Once you go on and you pay, you can download your transcript without needing to beg anybody, unlike other schools in Nigeria. So kudos to LASU for that one. Other schools in Nigeria, they sweat before they get their transcripts. So, like I said before, start pay the minds of your lecturers that, oh, I want to apply you. Please, sir, please, you are going to be recommending me. You are going to help me to write recommendation letters. Also, finalize your CV. Write your CV and finalize it. Then by 6 months, or at least let's say by 2 months before the deadline, you should have submitted your applications and applied. Now, your action plan should be, if you are planning to apply this cycle, the action plan should be create a spreadsheet with at least 10 programs that you want to apply. Note the deadlines, note the requirements, and note the availability of funding. Most schools programs will have their funding in the program website. They will tell you get the fully funded offer in that program. Now you should start to draft your statement of purpose. You should have identified the lecturers that will recommend you, that will help you to write your letter of recommendations. So if the programs require it, you should be prepared to write your GRE, and then you submit your application before the deadline.
Does anyone know what happened? How come people are no longer on the call?
Um, Mr. Opeyemi had, I guess he had issues with his network, so he kind of left. I guess people thought it was over, so they also did the same and left. But I guess
Wow.
it was a network issue. Yes, you should contact him.
Okay. Because I thought it was my network. That's why I actually left before.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I guess I lost connection. And
Yeah, I can hear you now.
so, where did you like? What was the last thing you heard from me before I lost the connection?
This was action something. Yes, it was action plans. We're talking about the action plans.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen again. So, as I was saying, I'm planning to apply this cycle September between September to December of this year in hopes of getting admission next year. By this week, I've started preparing a list of programs that you are interested in, that you feel that you are qualified, that you feel like you have a high chance of getting it. You should have started to draft your statement purpose at least by this and next month. Start to draft your statement purpose and start to prepare the minds of your lecturer that, oh, please, sir, please, man, you are going to writing letter recommendation for me. You should also, if your program requires it, you should prepare and study for your yearly or your test of English. So also, you should also be coordinating professors' points or between this point and let's say the next 2 or 3, you should start to email professors, could email them to express your interest so that you submit your application before the deadline. Now, so um, there are some like these are some resources for you that might really really help you on this journey. So Grad Cafe is very very good if you want information, inside information about the program. You get information regarding you get information regarding what kind of profiles or what kind of a particular program has been accepting. For example, you can note, oh, this particular school, they have been students that wrote GRE, or they have been students that have been admitting a lot of international students, or they admit more of domestic students. So you can use Grad Cafe to get information on all of this. Also, there is also the Erasmus website. So Google Erasmus Mundus scholarship programs on your web page. The first search result there, click it. You're going to get access to Erasmus programs. And in my opinion, Erasmus programs are the best programs that you can ever get. Because they not only give you a fully funded offer, the opportunity to study in multiple countries and to multiple master's degrees at once. A, a particular Erasmus program, you can get up to 4 or 5 master's degrees on years. You will study in 4 countries, different countries, traveling up. So it's a very good opportunity, kind of for the kind of benefits that the scholarship is very, very easy to apply to. So don't sleep on it at all. So you can also check out the Commonwealth of Scholarship official website, the Achievement of website, and other web pages that are like relevant to your. So you should start prepare as early as possible. In fact, from now on, if you want to train yourself to get some of these offers, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So if you have any questions, I'll be taking questions. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Mr. Fe- I don't know, I have a question. I don't know, can you tell us something?
All right, thank you very much for that. I have a question, or should I say, for the house. Yeah, let me put it that way again. So How do you how do you choose the right school or programs you apply to? I mean, funding is just going to be one aspect of it, but how do you carefully select them?
So the first thing you should look out for is that first of meet the basic entry requirements for the program. So most programs will usually have their basic entry requirements on our website. Make sure that you meet everything because those are the minimum requirements to be admitted to that program. When you have met those programs, now try to show how much you exceed those requirements. Example, on some schools program is on some like entry requirements, you might see, oh, the minimum we are accepting is a 2-2. Now, how much do you exceed those requirements? That means that if you have a 2-2, you can enter, but somebody who has a 2 has an higher chance, and somebody who has a first class has a greater chance of. So you can use that to say, okay, yes, I qualify in this regard. Now, another thing is try to verify, is that program a research focused or is the program not really focused? If it is research focused, they might look at aspects of your application such as your publication or your research experience, your conference experiences. So do you have all of those experiences? Note that down. Also, some programs will say GRE is optional. If they say GRE is optional, I would advise you to write GRE exam. If you do not plan to write GRE exam, always apply to programs to tell you that GRE is neither required nor considered. Means that even if somebody who has written GRE should submit their GRE in that program, in that application, they are not able to look at it. So there is a difference between GRE is not optional and GRE is neither required nor considered. If it is not considered, even if you submit it, they are not going to look at it. So if you do not plan to write GRE, always target programs like that. It's not to tell you that programs that say GRE, if you apply, you might not get in, or you might still get in. But the ones that will tell you that they are not considered at all, those are the ones that okay, you can apply with confidence that oh, even though I did not write GRE, I still stand a better chance of getting it. So and most importantly, look at your experiences and look at all of the labs that they have in that school. All research labs you that your experiences fit in, the higher the chances of you getting into that. For example, some mechanical programs in some schools in US now, they have research lab in they have research program they have a research interest in fluid mechanics, um heat and combustion, manufacturing, uh then they usually have this research focus in mechanics. Now I am applying to that kind of program. Now I'm now bringing experiences in robotics, machine learning. Even I have a lot of like publications and stuff like that. The fit is not that like I do not really fit into that. Even though I also have a bachelor in mechanical engineering, but my experiences do not really fit to the kind of research focus of that particular mechanical engineering program. So I will stand a lower chance of getting admission into that or getting a fully funded. In such a program, they will admit, but they will not give you funding because the research fit is not really there. Somebody who let's say his research experience is in mechanics of machines, or he has a lot of experiences using a CAD software, using Fox, AutoCAD and stuff like that. He has more chances of getting in than me with my Python and machine learning robotics experience. So look at research feeds. So those are the way to know or to gauge the likelihood of getting accepted into some of these programs. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, yes, you did. Thank you very much for that. I have another question though. I want to tie this back to the AI/ML postcard. Is grad school necessary for a career in AI/ML?
It depends which aspect of AIML you want to go into. If you are in the development field, like you just want to, I mean, or if you are in the application field, like you just want to build applications, build AI applications, build machine learning applications, apply AI to problems, real life problems, you do not need grad school. It's a career in AI and ML. But if you want to go into the research aspect, the AI research, you want to be the one developing new set of algorithms, next random forest algorithm, the next branch algorithm. You want to be the one developing those algorithms. You want to be the one developing the next by model. You want to be the one developing the next neural network. Then you need at least a PhD, not even as a PhD, to go AI research. So it depends on what type of AI that you want to go into.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Does anyone have any questions for our speaker? Questions. So thank you all for joining, everyone. We have come to the end of this program, and this week, right? So next week is going to be on a different thing. It's going to be more about projects that you guys have worked on and you do projects with the next week also final week. If you have questions, you can reach out to the speaker and you can ask on the bootcamp group. Meanwhile, to remind you guys that the hackathon is ongoing. So I hope you guys have the deadline is on April 21. So you guys should try to form teams with other people who think are very good. And I'm sure you have SPE members on your team also. So thank you all for joining me, Mr. Kari. Thank you also for stirring up. We really appreciate it. So take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.